Evening, guys.
So,
That's it.
Hey.
Evening, all. Welcome to another Lockdown Live chat. As usual, I'm joined with my awesome co-host, Alec. How's it going?
not too bad, man. Not too bad.
Nice. And as you guys can see, we're joined with a very special guest. Actually, our first female guest, if you will. How's it, Chelsea? Chelsea's part of, obviously, Omentum, lead asshole.
Yeah, one of the assholes.
And bass. Obviously, tonight we're going to be shaking it up a little bit because, Alec, you're actually part of Omentum also, so we can actually kind of bounce the conversation around both of you guys tonight. So this will be kind of interesting. But cool. Yeah, kind of kicking things off, casual, general conversation. How's lockdown been for you guys? Starting with you, Chelsea, how things been during this lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting to say the least. Yeah, I think that's whenever people ask me how's lockdown, I actually don't quite know how to answer that. It started off really well. Alec and I, for those who don't know, but I'm sure they pretty much do, Alec and I are actually engaged.
Pulling the veil out. We're dropping the fourth wall here. Oh, no kayfabe. Well, I mean, yeah, obviously congratulations to both of you guys. Well, I guess, yeah, we could get into the nitty gritty of Omentum, and I guess we'll kick it off with you, Chelsea.
Cool.
Obviously, it's a bit of an obscure satirical type band. I mean, where did the origins of the idea of an all bass driven band come into play here?
Yeah, so I mean, Alec and I, when we first started dating, music has always been like a big part of my life, and I saw he was in Surdus and I was like, oh, it's so cool, I want to be in a band. And Alec and Simon, who's the bassist for Surdus, they were discussing about this low sounding music, but they didn't want to play on 8 strings. So they had the discussion, they were like, why not have 3 basses? So like, they said, why doesn't Chelsea play the bass? Simon will play lead bass and Alec will play the rhythm bass. And yeah, no, it kind of just stemmed from me basically nagging Alec to be in a band. And then he was like, cool, let's try something different. So yeah, that's basically how Omentum was born.
Well, I guess maybe Alec, you can answer the question. The name Omentum, who came up with that and what is that all about?
So, funny story, we had this concept of the all bass band and we were tossing around names and nothing stuck, like we had like Akeldama as like an idea with like the Field of Blood, but then we looked and there was obviously a black metal band called Akeldama. And like basically a lot of our ideas were band names that already existed. And my mom's a vet, and one day she was talking about some surgery and she's like, yeah, and blah, 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 with the Omentum. And I'm like, what is that? And she's like, yeah, no, the Omentum is like the fat in the stomach lining that keeps like the stuff all together. It's, it's like this webbing inside the body. And I was like, I mean, it doesn't sound brutal when you hear it as a word. It doesn't sound like a gory term, but it actually is. And
it's pretty
like,
disgusting.
Yeah, we actually had the band page tagged, and we were like, "What's going on?" And we went and clicked on this photo, and it was some hospital in the States that tagged us because they were talking about a surgery, but like someone stuffed up and tagged Omentum the band when talking about Omentum.
Yeah, it was gross.
Well, any press is good press, I guess, So, well, I guess kind of delving, let's backtrack a little bit because it'd be good to actually find out a little bit more about you, Chelsea. I mean,
Okay.
You've done a lot within the SA metal scene. Like I said, you've been involved in Omentum, but you've also guest vocaled on Blacklight Council as well as Hill Liquor, which are two completely different sounding bands. If you think of the dreary, doom-driven sound of Omentum, doing brutal slam and breeze, mixed with like industrial type, sinister, for use of the better word, based upon the single. Check it out, guys. Link over here. Yeah, how different has it been, like working on such different projects and doing such different vocals ranges? I mean, it's basically from low to high end, you know.
It's been really fun. One thing, I never ever saw myself as doing vocals. I always thought I'd be, you know, the girl who plays bass in the band sort of thing. And I just thought, you know what, why not? Let me try it out. And if I can do it, then why not do it? And I think, you know, I did do some backing tracks on the Omentum Curmudgeon release, but it was so long ago. I hear it now. I'm like, oh God, please can I redo it? But when Urban Swart contacted me for Blacklight Council, he's like, oh, I really want you to be on a track. And I was a little bit anxious in the beginning because I'd never really done a full song, so to speak. And I thought, well, you know, there's no ways about it. Let's just go, for lack of a better term, balls to the wall and just try. And it was so much fun. And I kind of just then wanted more. So whenever Alec does, I mean, I'm sure he'll go into, he collects bands like I collect Cats and Harry Potter stuff. Every time he's got a project, I'm like, can I do something on it? It's just, I like to try different styles. You know, I'm eventually going to gear up. I just got to get the courage to do some cleans. Alec is very adamant that I try to do some clean singing, but I'll get there. But yeah, no, it's been absolutely awesome. Like just pushing myself, you know, if I look at how I've grown from when I did Sinister on the Blacklight Council to now when I did the song with Busak, you know, the Swallowing the Great Divide, like I've just grown immensely with my vocals. I can't wait. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to try different styles. And I love it. I love the fact that I can just make that sound.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah, well, I mean, on top of the other bands that I mentioned, you've done vocal covers of Arch Enemy and Forsaken Fate, which is, again, pushing the mid to higher range even with it. So I'm curious, I mean, who are your vocal influences? Who are the vocalists that you gravitate towards for your own sound?
So for me, I mean, I can't go without saying, you know, Angela from the original Arch Enemy lady. You know, I think, yeah, she's awesome. So, I mean, I said to Alec, funny enough, when lockdown started, I'm like, you know, let me just cover my Apocalypse because it seems quite fitting to the situation. And, you know, I did those vocals. I was like, cool, I can do that. What else can I do? I mean, I absolutely love the vocalist from Amorphous. I think he's amazing. You know, Lamb of God, Cataclysm, Amon Amarth. Obviously, the end goal is to be like Slaughter to Prevail. Maybe one day. And Shadow of Intent. You know, those are like that's my goal.
God, we're getting low there. We're getting like freaking toilet, like guttural vocal there. It's low.
Yeah, no, that's the goal. But yeah, I mean, I always just, like I said, the guys from Amorphous, just the fact that he can go from cleans to growls and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, I know I kind of do lean more towards the male vocal side of thing, which I mean is fine, but yeah, no, good vocals. I just love good harsh vocals, but yeah, those are probably my go-to guys.
Right on. Well, I guess let's double back to Omentum because we'd be foolish not to talk to Alec a little bit about the production side. Obviously, you guys haven't put out a lot of music. The one of the most recent was Curmudgeon. In producing that compared to bands like Forsaken Fate and Surdus, this obviously being very bass driven, how has it differed when it's come to the final production compared to the other bands you've worked with?
Well, basically, with Omentum, we recorded Curmudgeon, and we gave it to Alan, and Alan works his magic as he always does. And then since then, we kind of, I mean, that was long ago. That was like beginning of 2017, when we released Curmudgeon. And since then, we've been mostly almost like a live band. We've recorded the EP and re-recorded the EP a couple of times just because we were like, like, you know, like as we played the songs more and more, stuff seemed to like come out that we wanted to experiment with the recordings. And yeah, we were close to wrapping up recording at the beginning of lockdown, but obviously now with lockdown happening, we can't like all get together. And we might try a different approach for the final Omentum EP. We just need to see how it turns out, because the recording process has been very different. I'm more about the new school approach of like, you record in sections, you get everything as high quality, like, because it's immortalized and it lives forever. All right. That's my sort of vibe. Whereas our drummer is more about like old school production, where you perform the song from start to finish. And so it's been like sort of not a clash, but I've been willing to like compromise to try do it that way. And we'll see how that turns out. And our drummer's actually, he played in a band called Sordid, and they did that sort of approach, and he does mixing and mastering, and that kind of stuff. Without insulting him, it's not as good as Alan, because no one is as good as Alan in my book.
That's Dreamlab Productions, for anybody that doesn't know. Quality. If you guys are looking for mastering, Alan's your man. Anyway, back to that.
Yeah, so what I've said to the band, and we sort of mostly agree on, is that we're going to try give it a more natural sound, I guess, like less produced. Because I mean, why not? Everything I do is so hectically produced anyway, so it might be nice to have something different, you know, differently produced.
I'm sure Derek of Devil's Speak will agree with you wholeheartedly there. So, hell yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, let's keep the thread going with talking about live performances, because you guys have actually been playing together for a good few years now. Chelsea, have there been any standout tracks from Omentum performing live? Any tracks that really like stood out to you?
Well, my favorite is probably the song we always end off on, which I always think it's good to end off a set on quite a powerful track. The one that gets people, you know, like really thinking about your band, and it's called Traveling Back Through Time to Punch Hitler in the Dick. That's one of my favorite ones, just because the title is really funny, but also just the song is just hard hitting, and that's probably my absolute favorite. You know, I love getting involved with the crowd and, you know, like trying to get them all riled up and things like that. That's probably my favorite one to perform next to our other song called Mafuta, which means fat.
Well, actually, it's funny that you mentioned the going back in time to punch Hitler in the dick, because it actually ended up becoming one of the main products of your merch range that you guys ended up selling, which is actually available on the Draconem Teesprings. You guys can check that out. We'll have it in the description. I guess we could ask you a little bit about this, Alec, because as Chelsea mentioned, it's a very tongue-in-cheek type of tune, and the band in itself is quite a satirical, comical type band. But in terms of lyricism, the lyrics for it, what's the route that you usually take when it comes to creating like an Omentum track with the lyrics?
We normally look at something topical and satirize it. All my bands have like sort of different messages, and it's nice to not have like an agenda or like a concept, you know. So with Omentum, with like the lyrics, there's like a song called Listeria Hysteria, which was when there was a whole bunch of people getting sick because of eating polony, you know. And I got to have fun there because I got to say, I got to rip off the Enterprise slogan, which is "Don't compromise, serve Enterprise." I said, "Be compromised, eat Enterprise," you know. So like I get to have fun with this in a different way, you know. I'm not trying to tell a story. I'm not trying to push a message. I'm not trying to push anything other than like humor.
Yeah, a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, a little bit of lightheartedness with some raw, like, crunch doesn't hurt. Well, I mean, I guess this kind of segues into the next question. I mean, you guys did mention this earlier, but when lockdown hit, Omentum kind of had to take a bit of a hiatus for the foreseeable future. Moving forward with the project, Chelsea, I mean, you guys do still have plans to put out the long-awaited album, the new like finished EP in the near future?
Yeah, I'd like to think we will. I think knowing Alec and I, we like to finish what we start. And I think it would be really nice to, you know, not just as a band, but also so that I can put like an EP or an album, whatever, you know, behind my name. No, I'm keen to get it out. I think it's just right now, you know, we're kind of in that awkward stage of lockdown where things have been lifted, but we're still not quite sure what's going on. So I think it will definitely happen. I don't know if it'll be this year, to be honest, because I mean, this year's almost done. But I'd like to think definitely in the near future, we'll have something out.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, looking back at all the gigs that you guys have played, Alec, any concerts that stand to mind? Because there was a period about a year and a half ago where you guys were booked at almost every Johannesburg concert that there was, whether it was opening or closing, it was all different times. So any that come to mind?
So there's a few for different reasons. In terms of performance and crowd interaction, it has to be the first and only Wacken metal battle we've done, and it's the only one we'll do as Omentum because politics.
Lovely.
It was
lovely.
It was incredible. We drew the short straw and we played first, and contrary to what some of the judges that weren't watching saw, we actually had a mosh pit. And we had people like going crazy. People came up to us afterwards and said it was like incredible. And just from the sheer number of people and the sheer interaction, because we're kind of a band where Chelsea and I like interact with a lot of the other bands that we play with. We try to be like friendly with everyone. So when it came to that show, all the bands we had played with in the past from Pretoria, because we played in Pretoria, like their members came out and they were like really supportive of us, and that was really cool. In terms of like best tour like experience, it has to be when Pulvis et Umbra came out. Like the shows weren't necessarily great for us from a performance perspective. From a lot of, especially in Cape Town, there was a lot of like admin behind the scenes, you know, being a band that only plays basses and traveling, you know, like no one wanted to lend us gear to play through because we're playing bass, you know. So that was negative, but just like the whole tour experience, Chelsea and I actually escorted the guys from Pulvis et Umbra around because it was our sort of event, and I've never been so tired, but so energized from playing shows. And then lastly, from like a comedic perspective, we played a Women's Day show. And it's because the only reason we were invited was because Chelsea's in the band, which,
and I happen to be a woman.
which is great for the sexism, you know, like, and basically we decided as a band that the guys would wear trash bags on stage because, you know, men are trash.
Trash.
And I took whatever refuse bags we had left and I threw them out into the crowd and I said, we have merch. So yeah, that was fun from a comedy perspective, you know.
Good times, good times. Well, I guess this kind of works with the next question. I mean, yeah, as well as being partners in life, you guys are actually also partners in Draconem Media. And I guess I could direct this question to you, Chelsea. I mean, the developing bands that are coming out of SA now, I mean, like how would you actually describe the current headspace of the bands that are coming out of South Africa compared to, let's say, 5 years ago? A lot of different styles, a lot of different, you know, a lot of different ages now, and and also like the concerts have kind of gotten a little broader. There's a lot of different genres that you'll have at a concert. You won't necessarily have straight death metal or like a thrash metal night. It's kind of like a mixed bag. So how things up there in Joburg? I mean, what's your current experience dealing with the bands with Draconem?
So I'm just going to like completely ignore the lockdown side of things. We'll go back, you know, BC before Corona. Things were all right. I think the metal scene has always been one of those up and down sort of things. The problem is a lot of venues were booking shows every weekend with the same bands every weekend. So the problem is the crowd's mentality was, for example, oh, I really want to see Omentum, but not this weekend. I'll catch them next weekend or the weekend after, you know. The bands, I think there's a lot more passion in my mind, like the music, people are a little bit more serious about the music and not just, oh, I'm in a band, you know, I'm so cool. People are actually taking the music seriously, and I've noticed the production value, and this sort of shout out also goes out to Alan because he's kind of like taken everybody in now. But the production value has gone up, but also the live performances have gotten better. So I'd like to think the scene is going to improve once we can start playing shows again. I know people have started playing shows now, but you know, when it starts getting to a point where it's safer, so to speak, to play shows, because yeah, right now the thought of going near any microphone that someone else has used is just a big no-no. I think it's a case of right now everyone's going to be in the mindset of you don't know what you have until it's gone. And I'd like to think now that bands are going to be in the headspace of let's play music, let's get out there, let's support each other. Because that's one thing I also kind of noticed is there was also a little bit of arrogance with some bands before lockdown. You know, they kind of pitch before their set, play their set, go home. And so, yeah, it's always been like a bit of a mixed bag with where the bands are in their headspace. You know, there's a lot of passion for their music, and when they play, you're like, wow. But I don't know, Alec and I have just always been that sort of band that, you know, we rock up at the beginning of the show and we leave at the end of the show because we need to support each other. So I'm really, really hoping that the new mindset will be applying that same passion, applying that same, you know, performance and everything that they've done before with the added thing of supporting one another. I think that's something that we all need. Is there's nothing worse than looking out and you were supporting the band before you and oh no, they're outside, they don't give a shit, and you don't see them for the rest of the night, you know. So I'm hoping that'll be the new mindset.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, you guys, Cape Town obviously got hit with quite a few clubs closing down, Mercury being one of them. I actually just went to a live streaming event that happened at a little pub called the Armchair Theatre in Observatory, and they tend to have more alternative / jazz orientated bands, and Thread of Omen actually performed there to a small crowd, maybe about 40 to 50 people, and a live stream, and it seemed to do pretty well with sanitizing and all of that, but that's besides the point. I actually just wanted to say shout out to Thread of Omen for a killer show, and thanks to everybody that actually watched that. But anyway, getting back to the crux of the matter, Joburg recently actually got hit with a pretty serious knock with the possibility of rumors Rock City perhaps having to close down, which is, for anybody that doesn't know, they pretty much are the Mercury Live of Johannesburg. It is one of the premier spots where the extreme bands are able to perform. And yourself, Chelsea, you've been pushing people, donating and contributing where they can. Any update from the guys at the club, how things are going, how people are contributing, any plans to, because obviously now we're in stage 1, any plans on their side to maybe start to do their own live streaming events or something?
Yeah, so Fred has 2 rumors at the moment. There's one rumors in Stratham Park, and there's a rumors by Westgate, and the rumors at Westgate was the one that was in trouble. So I think to date we've raised, everybody's contributions, especially a major contribution from Dami from Pulvis et Umbra. So thanks, Dami. We've raised, I think, about 15,000 Rand so far. So yeah, guys, even if you have $50, please help. Last I heard, there were rumors to open up the Westgate one again. So that's holding thumbs that works out. But from what I know, the rumors at Stratham Park has been hosting small gigs here and there. So I think it will slowly, get some momentum going and everything will open up again. Because yeah, rumors is basically the metal place to be, it's
an institution.
So people can just give $50 here or there, shame, save rumors.
Yeah, we'll include a link to the GoFundMe account in the description. Awesome. But yeah, I mean, besides from that, Alec, I think we did pretty well for tonight. I think this has been another good show. It's been awesome. It's been awesome having you join us, Chelsea. Getting to know you a little bit, the face behind the voice, so to speak. So yeah, we're looking forward to hearing some new music. And yeah, I guess, is there any projects or any covers that you have in the future that you want to possibly plug here? Now's your chance.
Yeah, well, that was my chance. Well, like I said, the new track that I just did with Reynard from Busak, that came out a few weeks ago, so you can check that out. It was actually, for a change, it was me featuring Alec instead of Alec featuring me, so it was nice to take the lead. I'm looking to do some more covers. You can check out my YouTube channel, Chelsea MB, and I'll probably be tackling Amon Amarth as my next international cover, and then Surdus, local Surdus for the local
Amazing.
One. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm hoping we can eventually get those guys on the show also in the future, but we will see. We have many monikers of Alec to get through in the future, so I'm sure we will have you back in the near future, Chelsea, but thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And yeah, I guess we can let everybody know next week we are going to be joined by much demand by Chaos Doctrine. Alec and Dr. D are going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking a little bit about brutal South African industrial metal and programming and the debate between analog and digital drums. It's going to be a hoot. Can't wait for that debate. So hopefully you guys join us next week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show tonight, and yeah, just keep safe, keep that social distancing going, and we will see you guys next week. Cheers, guys.
Peace out.
Cheers. Bye.